we're talking about tech tips for virtual events. And I want to start out by telling you some of my experience in this past year and a half. I have spoken at 30 plus events online virtually and participated in many myself. And I want to tell you some of those lessons that I've learned along the way about how to make an event online great. So first, let's talk about flops. What things have I seen that went really wrong? I've seen platforms just shutting down, not working, people getting kicked off, having to relog on. I was about to speak on a virtual event. It was a conference. The speaker before me just couldn't get on to share her screen, and they had to cancel her session altogether. That was terrible. I was on next. I was terrified. She'd practiced and done everything right. I got to do mine just fine. Luck of the draw. I have seen the sound cut out. I've seen a lot of things kind of go wrong. I've had experiences as a speaker where there was like an 8-second delay and I could only talk to the audience through chat, but I had to like stall for 8 seconds to get them for the answers to start popping up in chat. That makes communication really hard. I'm not the best speaker when I'm trying to accommodate for that delay while I am speaking. So I want to tell you now about the top events I attended this year. The very best virtual event I attended was the Marketers Conference, Traffic and Conversion. It was an event of over 2,000 people. And it was right near Christmas time, and it was a 3-day event. They actually added on an extra 4th day, which we didn't even know about. And I was glued to my computer, and I participated, and I made so many new friends. I talked to people, and I got so much good information. And here, if you look over here, can you see that? That is me attending this event. One of the things that made this event so great was that the audience was in the room with everybody else. I was on Zoom, and there were actually, because you can't have 2,000-3,000 people in a Zoom room, there were 8 or 9 Zoom rooms all feeding in to the speakers, and the speakers were able to see me. I was able to see the speaker, and I was also able to see the other participants in the event, just like a real live event. The second best event I attended was actually done in a very similar way. It was a much smaller event. There were about maybe 200 people there. But the thing that made it so amazing was it wasn't just, and of course the content was great, but it wasn't just that I could see the presentation of the event or the host of the event, but I could see the other participants. Events in the physical world are very dynamic. They are not just about the hosts and the activities. They are very much also about the other participants and building that sense of community. So let's talk about how we can do that. Now I'm going to give you 3 tech tips, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you the 5 elements that you need to assemble in order to have a great tech platform to build your event on. And this is true regardless of whether it's a virtual walk or a conference or an educational type event. And let me add, because we do have some examples today of potentially non-synchronous events, is that the cool thing about the digital world is you can have a synchronous event where everybody's all online at the same time watching the same thing. Or you can have an asynchronous event where people are participating at different times and then coming together and sharing information, but they don't all have to be together in the same room. Asynchronous events have some other things going on, and maybe we'll do a different training on those, but a lot of the things will apply to those things as well. So you have to have a way to get people registered for the event. This is just mechanics. It's any list building, and it might need some ability for people to pay. So if you are charging for your event, you'll need whatever thing that someone can fill out a form and then also pay, can serve as your registration tool. Very simple one, Eventbrite, or you might have something already built into your website. The website platform I use for my website, that allows you to just take people's information and charge them. And it's very easy then to assemble a list of everybody who's registered. You need some sort of home base. So once people are in the event, that they have like a central place to get connected and know what's going on. You need to have a platform for the primary event. And there's really two elements to this platform. There's the host platform. So if you have speakers or some sort of event, or it's you sharing information, you need that experience for those people. And then you also probably have a slightly different experience for the people attending the event. And finally, you need some sort of mechanism to allow for participant peer interaction, whether they're able to video chat with each other or chat with each other, exchange information, network, whatever it is, you want to be building that community. And so you really want to enable your participants to communicate with each other. So let's talk about how we can achieve these things with my 3 tech tips. The first tip is to use what people are already familiar with, right? I'll tell you, I lived in Japan for a year. And in Japan, let's see if I can get this right, the doors go the opposite way than they do in the US. So I forget. I guess in the US, doors typically, do they pull out? And in Japan, they typically would push in, or maybe I've got it reversed in my head. So it's very confusing once you've done both. And so when I came back to the US, I was continually bumping into doors until I readjusted to that typical way. So it's really important that you just go with the flow, stick to what people are familiar with. So for example, when it comes to registering for an event, not only is Eventbrite free, but a lot of people have used it. So it's pretty straightforward. Same with Zoom, right? From my perspective as a participant, most people now, thanks to the pandemic, know how to use Zoom. So why try to get them to use something else unless it's really similar to Zoom or really easy, right? We don't want to, you don't want to change the direction of your doors in your event hallway. You don't want to do something that's really different than people are used to, because nobody who's a participant wants to learn new tech in order to enjoy themselves. And I will talk about a few actual tool suggestions as I go. So Zoom for your platform, I think for the guests is a fantastic way to go. You can also use Zoom chat as a way for people to be able to connect with each other. So those are 2 things in one tool. Or you can have a separate tool for that peer communication. Another fantastic tool for peer communication and networking that everybody knows already is Facebook. People know Facebook already. They know how it works. They might not be that into it, but at least they have an account. So you can set up a group, specifically a Facebook group specifically for your event. And then people can chat and share information. You can put all the resources in there, and that works totally fine. Another tool that I like for the actual experience is a new tool. And I don't often like new tools, but there's a tool called Sidebar. I'll get the address for you. But if you look up Sidebar video platform, you should find it. And what I like about Sidebar is it allows people to go into themed breakout rooms, and it's even more simple than Zoom. But Zoom too also has breakout rooms, right? And when I'm talking about Zoom, we want Zoom meetings, not Zoom webinars, because you want to preserve that interactive piece. So those are some simple tech tools that you can use that people are already familiar with. So right off the bat, that should say probably you're not going to use any brand new platform unless it's designed to work with Zoom or it's very similar to use as Zoom. My next tip for you is to focus on simplicity, not features, when you're considering new tech. See, the thing is, we say like virtual event platform, but the truth is, everything the internet is built to do these days is to enable virtual two-way communication. So we don't really need a lot of new tools to do this well. We just need to take our existing tools and combine them together in a way that's easy for everybody to use. And we want to focus on usability, on simplicity. We don't need a ton of features. On the right here, I think it's on the right for you, is a screenshot that I took of the second best event that I attended. It was called the Business of Coaching Live. This was actually a free event. And what I want to show you here is you got sent a link to this website page. It's a website page, nothing fancy. You could build this page in any website tool that I've ever known existed. On the top of this page, right? So people registered, and when it came time for the event, they got sent the link to this page. That's all they needed to do to access. Now, these are 4 buttons, right? Button 1 was a link to the Facebook meeting, right? That's all it is. You make a button, add the link to the Facebook meeting. That was the quote main stage, and that's where everything happened. There is another button, a link to the Facebook group where all the sidebar communication happened. They also included a link where you could book a one-on-one call with one of their coaches. And they had, once you booked that call, you would just click on this Enter the Coaching Zone button to be added to the, guess what, Zoom meeting where your coach was waiting to have a one-on-one conversation with you. And then otherwise, the handouts were just links to PDFs right here, and the schedule. This is nothing fancy, no special tool. This is just a layout, right? Schedule wasn't changing, 3-day schedule, and instructions on how to participate. Now imagine if you were doing a fundraising event. Maybe you had, like it's your virtual gala. You have your main stage where presenters are talking about the organization, and you have some, clients who you've served giving essentially testimonials, telling their stories. Then maybe instead of a coaching zone, you have a talk with one of our board members zone, or talk with meet another donor, right? And people could pop in and out talking with donors who have other donors who have similar interests, or your board members who are ready to have one-on-one conversations, right? So this is nothing fancy. This is nothing new. This is the simplest of web pages with simple buttons that lead, essentially, one leads to a Facebook group and the other leads to a Zoom room. And these also actually both lead to Zoom rooms in the end. So think about simplicity rather than features when you're deciding what tech to use. And chances are you probably have most of the tech you need already in your box of tools. The final thing is, don't forget about no tech additions. And I realized I forgot what I was going to show you, but I physically forgot it because it's in another room. I presented at the N10 conference this year, which was quite well done. But one of my favorite things, probably my most favorite thing, was they sent me a box in the mail beforehand. And I got things that were very on brand for them. I got some reusable straws. But my favorite thing was I got a little wooden planter with a seed packet, and my son and I planted the seeds. And every day I look at the seeds growing out of this box and I see the N10 logo, and I think fondly back on that organization. So that's a way, and I've seen a lot of successful box pieces. You can send people printouts of things they can hold up to help them engage better. You could send people, in N10's case, they actually used this package also to secure sponsorship. So each item in the package also had a sponsor's logo on it. So they were mostly corporate sponsors in this case. So there was a little notebook sponsored by I don't know who, and the straws sponsored by somebody else, the seed box sponsored by another person. So that's another way you can bring some non-tech, some physical tangibles into your conference, and those things will last. Conference, event, gala, walk, those things will last way beyond the event as well. And it should really help people if you send it so they get it just before your event. They'll get really excited about it. So maybe if you're doing like that virtual run, right? Maybe you send people a wristband that shows what they're doing, or maybe they get a bandana that they can wear while they're running, right? Something to kind of show their support visually that could show up in social media in all sorts of other good ways. And otherwise just really get them feeling like they are part of something when they come to your event. So don't forget about the no tech solutions. That is my training for today in events and tech tips. For those of you who are watching the recording, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And for those of you who are here with me live, stay tuned and I will answer your questions.